Welcome to Casa Academy, Chapter 2, Part 2, where we will cover real estate license law and qualifications for licensure. We are going to break down some of the absolute most critical rules you need to know to keep your Florida real estate license in good standing. My goal today is just to make these regulations crystal clear and super easy to remember so you can actually focus on what matters, building your business. We've got a lot of essential ground to cover, so let's just jump right in. I want you to really think about this for a second. What is the true cost of missing a single deadline? Because, well, in a lot of professions, missing a deadline, it might just mean a slap on the wrist, maybe an annoyed email from your boss. But in Florida real estate, the regulatory environment requires strict compliance. Missing a deadline here can literally halt your career right in its tracks. So let's explore exactly how we can make sure you never find yourself on the wrong side of that deadline. Section 1. Keeping your license actives. Okay, so once you've knocked out your very first post-licensing renewal, maintaining your Florida real estate license actually becomes a pretty straightforward process. It's what we like to call the happy path of standard compliance. And honestly, as long as you stay on this path, you'll have absolutely zero disruptions in your ability to practice, represent your clients, and of course, earn those commissions. It's kind of like getting regular oil changes for your car, right? Just keeps the engine running smoothly. And the crucial anchor point of this whole path is the number 14. I really want you to let that sink in. 14. All licensees, so that means both sales associates and brokers, are required by the Florida Real Estate Commission to complete exactly 14 hours of approved continuing education, or CE, every 2-year renewal period. These 14 hours are literally your non-negotiable ticket to keeping your license active and current. Remembering this number and just planning for it every couple of years, that's the foundational habit of a successful Florida real estate professional. Now, let's look at how you actually get those 14 hours done. The state totally gets that professionals have different schedules and learning styles, so you've got choices. On the one hand, if you go for online or correspondence courses because you need that flexibility, you are required to pass a 30-question end-of-course exam just to prove your competency. But get this. If you decide to do your continuing education in a classroom setting and, assuming you actually meet the attendance standards, there is no exam required. None. It's a fantastic built-in advantage for folks who prefer learning in person, because you basically just cleverly bypass that whole 30-question test entirely. Section 2. The involuntarily inactive status. All right, let's look at what happens if things don't go according to plan. We're pivoting away from that happy path and looking straight at the danger path. It is so incredibly important to understand the sequence of events that kicks in the very moment a renewal deadline is missed. If you don't finish those 14 hours of CE before that 2-year deadline, your license doesn't just instantly vanish. Actually, it enters what's called the involuntarily inactive status. And hey, just a quick administrative note for your records today, your verification code is 125478. So under this inactive status, here is the harsh reality. While your license isn't immediately canceled, you cannot legally engage in any real estate activity until it's reactivated. No showings, no negotiations, no commissions. You are effectively sidelined until you fix it. Section 3. Steps for license reactivation. So the good news here is that getting back to an active status, completely possible. You aren't permanently locked out of the industry just because you missed one deadline. But the regulatory burden you're going to face scales up directly based on how long you procrastinate. If you're late, but it's been less than 12 months, you can usually restore your license by just knocking out the standard 14-hour CE course and paying your renewal plus the late fees to the DBPR. But look what happens next. If you let that license just sit there in involuntarily inactive status for more than 12 months, the penalty literally doubles. Now you've got to complete a really heavy 28-hour reactivation course, pass a mandatory 50-question exam, and pay all those late fees. It's a massive leap in time, effort, and honestly, stress. Section 4. Avoiding null and void. Now, if a licensee completely ignores that involuntarily inactive status, we eventually hit the ultimate point of no return. This is the absolute worst-case scenario for a Florida real estate pro. Let's trace this out. On day 1, after your missed deadline, you drop into that involuntarily inactive status we just talked about. From there, you have a window of up to 2 years to go through the reactivation steps, either the 14-hour or the 28-hour track, depending on how late you are. But look at what happens at the end of that window. Post 2 years, the license becomes null and void. It is dead, entirely invalid. If you want to practice real estate again after hitting that 24-month mark, you are essentially starting completely over, right from scratch. To wrap this up, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought. Is avoiding a simple weekend of continuing education really worth sacrificing your entire real estate career?
When you weigh a 14-hour course against losing your livelihood entirely, well, the choice is pretty obvious, right? Staying ahead of your renewal deadlines isn't just about, checking boxes and following rules. It's literally the only way to safeguard your hard-earned ability to practice and actually thrive in Florida real estate. Thanks so much for joining me today, and hey, I highly encourage you to go mark your calendar with your next renewal date right now.